Hi, you're listening to the Diablo podcast. I am your host, Flux, and we are online at diablopodcast.com. This is a service of DiabloIncGamers.com. I am speaking today with the Eliminator.
How you guys doing?
And we are not doing our usual three-person podcast right now because I'm having massive system problems all day and Skype keeps crashing. And we're pretty sure that it's Bobby Kodak's fault.
Yes, he's sent out the Blackbriar's special interfering messages.
And the reason that Bobby and his little twinkly eyes are interfering is that this podcast is all about the new information. This is going to be posted around midnight on August 1st. We're recording this on Saturday, 2 days before then, although it's almost Sunday after all these tech problems.
Yep.
We're pretty sure that Blizzard realizes that we're trying to just record this about secret information that's NDA'd for a day and a half yet, and they're trying to stop us. But they will not succeed.
Indeed.
So yes. I'm speaking to Eliminator now. I'm going to speak to Nineball next, and I'm going to edit those together afterwards. So if this podcast seems slightly disjointed, it's because they were speaking separately, and now you know.
And knowing's half the battle.
And the G.I. Joe. And the second major disclaimer is that I was, through the brilliant assistance of Blizzard Irvine PR, I was not invited to the Blizzard event this week, 2 days ago, because why would they want to invite someone from the leading Diablo 3 fan site and leading Diablo 3 wiki and possibly leading Diablo 3 podcast. The best podcast, though.
Indeed, the best podcast. I was thinking we should do some sort of petition or something like that.
Yeah, they don't give a damn.
I don't know if you get enough names, they would start to give a damn, I guess.
They're a multi-billion-dollar international corporation, and they like fan sites that kiss their ass. And if you don't do that, you can pretty much burn in hell. If everybody who ever read our website or listened to our podcast decided not to buy Diablo 3, that would be, that's 1 day of blow for Bobby Kotick. It wouldn't make any difference whatsoever.
Yeah, he would only have to wipe his ass with $10 bills instead of $100 bills that day.
Anyway, I know the information. Oh, sorry, I was disclaiming before I went off on a diatribe about things out of my control. I was not at the show, but I have spoken to several people who were and have gotten various different information from them, and most of it in agreement, occasionally contradicting in some of the interpretations of things. But I'm pretty certain that all the information I'm going to give you on this podcast is accurate. And we're posting this August 1st anyway, so by the time this goes online, you can actually read everybody's report and collate their information and make up your own mind. And we'll be posting news about that, of course. But obviously, I can't vouch for the 100% veracity of anything we're saying on this show, since it's secondhand information. But I'm pretty sure it's good, or else we wouldn't be recording a podcast of it.
And I think they'll also get this information before a lot of the websites, because you're going to post it up pretty early in the morning. And a lot of normal websites don't post their information up until like late in the morning or in the afternoon and stuff. Yeah, there were like more than 20 people at this event on Wednesday for the U.S. and the EU sites, and then there were probably that many or more again the next day when they had all the Asian sites in there. So it's not like it's just fan sites. I mean, there's people from all kinds of major gaming sites, and I don't have a roster, but I'm sure we'll see stuff, like on Kotaku and GameSpy and GameSpot and all those kind of people as well. I mean, we saw that one leaked screenshot the guy took on his cell phone cam, and he was from what? It was a Danish gaming site or something? Yes, I think that's what it was.
If I was making my list of top 10 sites to invite to a Blizzard demo, I don't think he would have made the cut exactly. So there's a lot of people there, and of course that makes it useful because nobody can figure out who was telling me the information in advance. But yeah, there'll be a wide variety of reports in many languages and cultures and countries and time zones.
And it's only a matter of time before their own sites screws up in Korea or Japan or China and post the stuff early anyway.
Yeah, I was going to say, and be sure to check the Korean website because it'll go up 2 hours early like everything else they post. Time zones are hard. I guess it's like Wednesday evening. It's 18 hours later than California or something like that Korea is. So it's midnight, midnight in the morning on Monday is Monday evening there. So they should have all day to screw it up.
I think it's 16 because my brother, he lives in Japan, and it's 13 from the East Coast and 16 here.
Yeah. Well, roughly 16. Yeah, the Pacific Ocean's pretty damn wide, so they're 2/3 of the way around the world and going forwards. Anyway, Eliminator, I've told him a little bit of stuff, but he's going to pretend like he's never heard any of this stuff before, and so you can hear him gasp and ooh and ah at all the big changes.
Or you'll hear dead air because I'll be just completely stunned. And I'll edit in 9-ball in that case.
Yeah,
so.
there you go.
Whichever one of you curses more exasperately will be the one who gets to be on the show. So it's, keep that in mind.
I'll just continually just spout out cuss words.
Like my introduction.
Yep.
So the beta build, just sort of the basic information, it took them about an hour to get through if they hurried. We saw that guy's leaked screenshot. He'd finish it 3 times in just the afternoon. It's obviously a lot less than Act 1. It's not even half of Act 1, I don't think. And it's not exactly the same thing we'll get in the public beta, but it's very close. I'm sure they'll make a few more refinements and stuff. And, we were wondering on a previous podcast, how big the beta would be, and obviously we thought maybe it'll be all of Act 1, or at least most of Act 1. The guys who were finishing it were about level 7, level 6, level 7, maybe level 8 if you killed every single monster when you got through it once. Are you surprised at the size of that, or? That's what she said, right?
Maybe just a little bit. I would think they would have a little more of game time for the press, but I mean, they're definitely not going to have the same build at BlizzCon. They're going to slap on a 15-minute time limit. But I guess there's so much story-laden stuff throughout the game that they can't even have that in there without giving away spoilers. So an hour taken from maybe 3 hours worth of game, or 5 hours worth of game, maybe.
For Act 1, you say, or the whole game?
For Act 1, of course.
We saw in that leaked cell phone pic, the beta ended with King Leoric, the battle with him in his throne room, which ironically was the same thing the 2008 demo ended with.
They actually fight him?
It's not the same game, fortunately. In both, yes. But it does have, it's not just the 2008 demo all over again, of course. I mean, that only had 3 characters for one thing. I mean, this one has followers and NPCs. You talk to Lee in town. There's more quest information. You get more of the basic stuff. I mean, it's almost the same, the full game, just the first, tenth of it or something.
Yeah.
And there are a few things not in it. There's not going to be any PvP arena in the beta. I was disappointed to learn that personally.
I'm actually kind of surprised about that too, that they wouldn't have the PvP arena just to test that out a little bit.
Yeah, we thought they would at least want to test the game creation stuff and
matchmaking maybe or something like that.
Ratings, all that kind of stuff. But I guess the theory is that they're giving us a very small. It's like a demo, really. It's not even a beta, and it's really just a tech demo. It's just to make everybody, to get 100,000 people trying to log on to BattleNet, and to give the tech support guys a head start on launch day when everybody's 5-year-old video card crashes.
Yep.
Of course, who am I to talk? I can't even get Skype to run. So, good luck to me.
You're going to be the next person to be typing, I need help.
Yeah. I'll be playing in stick figures. But yeah, it's a small demo, and the hope is that means it's going to be a fairly quick beta test. Just maybe 2 or 3 months, and get it out by the end of the year. And the other hope is that they'll be having to add a lot of testers in. I mean, they had over 20,000 active testers pretty much at all times during StarCraft. And obviously a lot of people would test it for a while and then stop playing, so they had to keep adding new. They had lots and lots of flights and invitations.
Yeah,
and it seems like they had well over 100K people were in the SC2 beta.
Yeah, with StarCraft 2's beta, it was like if you passed by the store shelf and looked at it, you were in the beta.
Yeah, with pre-orders and almost everybody in the beta, you got invite a friend kind of stuff. So it seems pretty good odds that the Diablo 3 beta is going to be like that, and that if you don't get in it, it's your fault and you're a bad person. Or something like that. Something became moralistic. Yeah, and also in terms of, obviously they're not going to be doing any real game, PVM, PVE game testing, balancing, etc. with only that small of a game and that a level of characters. And what Jay Wilson said at this press event this week is that they don't think they can do that with just, the limited number of people in a beta test. I think they're just really looking forward to getting 1 million people on there with level 60 characters in a month and just seeing what happens, and they're going to make their changes. They're committed to making lots of changes and lots of fixes and rapid patches. I think they're just going to do that with the real game instead of trying to do it with the beta with a much smaller
One could hope they do that and don't say it and not do it.
Well, they've got their expansion packs coming up, so they can't piss us off yet. They have to keep us interested. The basic information on the beta build is that it's just the start of Act 1. It's not even directly the beginning of the game. I think they've actually edited a few things out of that. But it's got, the NPCs. You talk to Leah. You talk to, I don't know if you talk to Kane or not, actually. But you talk, you see the artisans in town.
Artisans.
You rescue the Templar. God damn it. That's why I'm editing that part out. Artisans. Actually, I was thinking about this. There's a really nice water supply in town. You see the artesian well. And next to it is the jeweler. That's what I meant. And anyway, the beta demo, the beta is actually basically a demo. It's characters where people who finish it in an hour if you hurry, probably less than that if you hurry, but it's not half the game. It's not even all of Act 1. You're like level 7 when you finish it, your character is. Are you surprised that's all we're getting? Did you think we were going to get all of Act 1 and more?
I was, hoping for a little bit more, but that's all they want to give us without, maybe there's that many spoilers. I don't know. I mean, it's still Act 1. I can't imagine that being that many spoilers. But as long as we're getting the beta, I'm happy.
As long as you're getting a beta, you're happy.
Oh, rephrase that, yes.
Exactly. If everybody else gets a beta but you don't, will you still be happy?
No, I'll be pretty upset.
Okay, good. So there's a little self-interest there, a little healthy self-interest.
Yes.
And it seems like they're not, and also there's no arena in the beta. There's no runestones in the beta because the runestones are being held out for a whole other system change. We'll get into that later. It's small. It's not going to have the whole game. We don't know if it's going to have the trading stuff, the auction house, and other things as well. But it will. It seems like it's basically just a tech demo. It's enough to keep people playing on BattleNet so they can test out BattleNet, stress test the new servers.
Well, if it's going to be such a small beta, will it be like, you think is it going to be open or?
I think they'll have to add lots and lots of people to keep the numbers up, which is actually a good thing. Everyone's hoping to get a chance at it, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, until I know the beta date, I don't really care about the beta. I mean,
we don't know the date. They have not told us.
Yeah.
I think we'll get a date or at least a window during this conference call coming up on the 3rd.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's kind of what I really expected from the betas. Nothing huge or anything. But it does. But you're going to allude to that in the runestones. But you think those would be a big part of the beta?
Yeah, we're saving the runestones. We're saving it for part 2 of this podcast, which is going to be recorded tomorrow night. Hopefully, my goddamn computer's working properly.
Yeah.
But yeah, the runestones are going in for some fixes and some upgrades, and they're not going to be in the beta because they're testing them with the team internally. Also, runestones don't really drop in the game before Act 2. I mean, you don't find them right from the beginning.
Oh, okay.
So you wouldn't even probably have had any anyway. Or maybe they would have been like one from a quest reward or something like that. Are you going to go right for a high-level character right off the bat?
I'm just going to play the game until I can't no more.
But are you going to alternate between multiple characters, or do you think you'll just try to really power up one? Wherever your mouse leads you?
Yeah. Well, that, and I'll have a PvP character, which will be, the main guy start, but I'll have a character that's good for helping other people get through the game so they can get a higher level. And then just build characters, as I see fit to have fun.
I'm kind of amused when we get these forum threads and people are like, like they've got their first 6 months of Diablo 3 laid out with bullet points. It's like week 2, start a sorceress. It's like wait what? Okay, wizard, whatever, same thing.
I understood you.
Like, do you really plan it out in advance like that? I mean, I just whatever I'm having fun with, I'm going to keep doing.
Yeah.
I don't have a whole system.
Well, some people need that kind of order.
Do you think they'll actually follow it though, or will it?
They're going to.
People who've never played the game at all have very detailed plans for how they're going to play the game.
They're going to. I can imagine.
It's kind of like the first time you have sex, you plan it out in advance, but then it's very different when you get there. I don't think that's going to last.
I got to do what?
Yeah, what finger goes where? You're going to put what inside me? Okay, anyway, moving right along.
I can imagine the guys having that bullet point sheet printed out and stuck to the side of their monitor. They're going to.
Yes, I think.
But
I think people will find the Diablo 3 experience different than they're expecting if they haven't had it. I mean, I have no idea what I'm going to do, and I've played the thing at all 3 BlizzCons for 50 hours,
Yeah.
So I can't imagine people who haven't played at all are going to be able to stick to whatever they're planning on.
Well, yeah.
Just,
Say what's
fun.
They're going to have it right there, and they're just going to rip it off and play what they want. That's how.
Yeah. It's like, sorry, you can't keep playing this character. You have to play somebody else now. It's what it says on your sheet you wrote down, 2.5 years ago. long been expected. There will be an auction house in Diablo 3. We don't have all the details about that. I imagine they'll be posting a full system information breakdown about that. There are screenshots of the auction house available on as you're listening to this. They should be available already, of course. It's not going to be a market system, apparently. It's going to be an auction house, and it's going to work apparently realm-wide, which will mean like a million people trying to buy the same pair of pants, I guess, like a sale at Walmart. They're going to have some sort of requirement to place an item. It's going to cost you some gold to place a listing, so people can't just spam a bunch of crap, just to clog up the registration.
So it's going to work kind of a lot like how WoW's auction house is plus extra features, you're saying.
And the big surprise, which you don't know anything about yet, will be shocking to you to hear, there is going to be a real money trading aspect to this. Essentially, they're going to be duplicating the auction house and using it like eBay. So you can post items for in-game items, or you can post them via sort of an eBay. Obviously, it's not eBay. It's BattleNet Bay, or whatever you want to call it. It's B-Bay.
D-Day? DB Day?
D3 Bay. It's D3 Bay, and you will be able to list items for actual cash money, which I assume will be via a credit card or something you'll have on your BattleNet account. And you can sell items to other people for in-game gold. You can buy gold from other people. Apparently, they're planning eventually they might actually be able to sell characters as well, not just gold and items. That was not something I expected. We always thought there'd be some kind of microtransactions, or they've said they want to try to monetize the game in some ways, but I was surprised to learn this, at least.
Yeah, I mean, the precedence is kind of still there, though, from StarCraft 2, them talking about that, about custom maps being able to be sold, but nothing to the level of actual in-game gear that you use and actually has an effect on your character being sold for money. And being sold by people that play the game, not by Blizzard themselves.
Yeah, they have said they're not going to be selling items. They're not just going to be, printing out win forces or something and flooding the market. It's all going to be player to player. They're just facilitating it, and they take a small percent of whatever the trade is, much like eBay does. So there's going to be hardcore regular arena auction house, but not a RMT, not a real money trading version of hardcore, to save us from ourselves.
Okay, so that way you don't buy things that get destroyed and never able to get back again.
Yeah, that was the explanation that Jay Wilson gave, apparently. And I'm not, who knows why, I don't know why they're trying to save us from ourselves. They're making addictive games that they want us to spend lots of money playing, so I guess even Blizzard has their limits. So what do you think? You play World of Warcraft and you like the auction house. I assume you're pretty happy that it's going to be in Diablo 3?
Yeah, I'm happy the fact that there's going to be the auction house system, which makes it easier for people that want to trade to trade. I'm not exactly sure how I feel. I'm not upset about the real money transactions, but I don't know. Maybe I can make this as a full-time job now. Diablo 3.
Man, my only concern is it going to make people be completely like mercenary assholes in games?
Yeah, I need this. No, you don't. You just want to sell it.
Before, if you had, obviously you could trade in Diablo 2, but it was so inconvenient that it wasn't even worth the trouble half the time. But, if you find some really awesome item and you can look on, obviously there'll be websites, I'm sure we'll be running one that does this, that keep track of trade values. And you look on there and, hey, I found a Stone of Jordan and I can sell this for $1.50, or I can give it to my friend. Is he worth $1.50? It seems like it might just turn the game into a really kind of mercenary sense of...
I guess it all depends on what kind of friends you have, if they're scumbags or not.
Or if they're poor or not.
That too.
And rich people are usually the bigger scumbags than poor people, so let's not go there. At least Blizzard's not selling items. They're not running a cash shop. You don't buy, plus 50 experience for 5 minutes amulets or anything.
Yeah, this kind of works into when we were talking with Nineball about it, how it helps people that don't have a lot of time to play the game, that want to be able to play it with some good items and stuff.
Yeah, and if you can, if you work 12 hours a day and have a family, and you can only play it for an hour, every other day, but you make a good salary, you can spend $100 and get all the cool items.
And
not feel left out.
And on the other side, you have those people that would complain normally that they bought items. Now they may not complain because they're the ones getting the money for those items because they're the ones that have been playing for so long and getting those items and selling them.
This has gone on all along. I mean, you have no trouble finding Diablo 2 items to pay money for if you just look on the internet. So there's always been this black market, and obviously with the black market, people can get ripped off, and players can get things stolen from them. People get their accounts hacked all the time, that kind of stuff. So if Blizzard's actually doing it themselves, in theory there'll be better security, better maintenance. You don't have to worry about being ripped off.
We don't know if they're not going to price adjust, are they? They're not going to say, well, this type of item is going to cost this much.
Apparently, it's entirely market driven.
Okay.
Purely capitalistic, and whatever people are willing to pay is what they'll pay. But it does cost you something to place an auction, place a listing as well.
It costs you real money to place an auction.
I'm not sure. I'd assume so. How could it not be, right? Otherwise, people would just spam the real money trading.
True.
So, whatever it costs, if it costs you 5 gold pieces or something to place, an in-game auction, it'll cost you, 20 cents or something to place a real game auction. Or, maybe there's some minimum, maybe Blizzard gets 5% and, a minimum of 10 cents or something.
Yeah.
So it wouldn't really matter for you or me, but if there's someone who's, some power traders posting 100,000 items, he wouldn't be able to post a bunch of crap because that would actually add up to real money. And if people are, obviously they've got your credit card information and your actual name and everything on your account. So if people find ways to rip you off or cheat or harass you, you know who they are. And Blizzard
and you
steps.
can do what they do on eBay, and you can downvote them or whatever.
Yeah, downvote their system. This barbarian's a thief. Well, he's a barbarian. What do you think? Do you like the concept of the auction house?
I don't know. I'm not. You said that you can't put up any item. Okay. Well, it's in their gold sync. I'd have to see it. I'd have to see it work for me to make an opinion about it. My gut reaction is kind of negative, just for the simple fact that I've never used an auction house. So I don't I really don't need that to trade with somebody.
You could tolerate trading in Diablo 2?
Yeah, that's all I had, but there's always ways to improve it, but I don't know. I have to see an auction house work.
Well, by the time people are able to listen to this, you will have been able to see screenshots of it, and possibly, who knows, Blizzard might post a video, or I'm sure they'll post a whole system page on their official site at some point. If not at midnight, then the next day.
Yeah.
But obviously we're working on very partial information at this point.
Yeah.
I'm not unhappy with it myself. I just thought trading was so inconvenient in Diablo 2. You just go on some channel and spam, looking for an eagle horn, and luck finding it. Whereas if I could just go to, a kind of a browser-like feature right in the game and find 50 of the item I want and see how much gold people want for it.
Yeah, it obviously works.
The big twist is that there's going to be a real money trading aspect to the auction house, where you can actually spend cash, dollars, euros, Krugerrands, whatever you have available in your country, to trade and to buy items from other people. So if you find some killer item, you can put it in there and say, I want $5 for this, and maybe you'll get it.
I didn't realize Bobby wanted euros.
They can convert them.
Oh, can they?
But this, Blizzard is not going to sell items via this. They're purely enabling it for players to use from player-to-player trading. It's basically eBay, Battle.net, D3 Bay. It's going to be basically.
So if I don't have 500 gold for the item, but I got $2, I can get it?
Or you can buy 500 gold for $2 and then go trade the gold in the other auction house. We don't. It'll be interesting to see how the economy unfolds. Obviously.
Well, then I kind of, someone that goes and spends $10 on a million gold, just numbers. That gives them a much more bigger advantage over someone that doesn't spend actual money, wouldn't it?
Given that you just said you're going to play Diablo 2 and Diablo 3 until you drop, won't it be you getting the $10 from the guy for your million gold, though?
Yeah, I guess.
You could be looking at a part-time job here.
That's an idea.
Obviously there is a black market now. It's not like it's hard to find Diablo 2 items for sale if you want to go online and look. And they're done through these shady third-party sites, and you might get ripped off, and you might buy a dupe that vanishes in the next rust storm, that kind of stuff. Did you play hardcore in D2, and are you going to play hardcore in D3?
I didn't play as much as I played, regular, because I was big into PvP, but I see the appeal in hardcore. and I'll end up making a hardcore character or two.
It'll be curious to see what the kind of economies are. I mean, maybe it'll turn out that only, like in the softcore, if you can, maybe only the really best items will be in the real money trading part. Because why would you trade it for a game item when you can get $20 for a wind force or something, right?
Yeah.
But if it's not an option in hardcore, we might have a totally different style of economy.
Yeah.
You'd think there'll be, obviously there'll be less items in the hardcore economy just because people die and lose stuff. So.
Yeah.
But maybe stuff will come in much higher prices because, you'll do anything for 50 more hit points in hardcore.
Yeah.
Whereas in softcore, who cares? You'll die one more time.
We'll have to see how it works out.
Yeah, and it'll be funny to see if there's a big, people tended to go in softcore D2, like you would go all strength builds or all dex builds or whatever because it didn't matter if you died really.
Yeah.
Whereas in hardcore, people were much more put more value on vitality points and on hit points, charms, and stuff.
And survivability skills.
Yeah, because it doesn't matter if you have 1,000 more damage if you hit twice and die. So, But eventually, people got good enough at Diablo 2 that builds were pretty much the same thing. I mean, a little more vitality in hardcore, but it wasn't like they were, 500% more hit points or something.
Yeah.
Another cool VNet feature. That's called, I'm not sure what the actual name is. They're calling it banners, though, basically. And it's kind of like an avatar for your entire Battle.net account. So apparently in Diablo 3, when you get online, you will show sort of this banner, or, call it a flag, call it a standard, whatever you want to say. And it's going to kind of appear next to your character, the particular character that you're playing at that point. Whereas the banner is your entire account. And it's gonna change. You can set your own colors for it, and you can set like an icon or a sigil for it. But then it gets all kinds of little bells and whistles added on it. It shows off your achievements. It gets a little cool border if you're a hardcore character. There's just you can customize it a lot, and apparently they look really cool. And it's kind of a game within the game, and you'll want to, they've said that there's stuff on VNet that'll show off how cool you are. It's basically an EP meter essentially, right?
So you're not buying anything for that, though. That's just stuff that you achieve in the game that you get.
But no, apparently the banner is not any connection to real money.
So it's not like something like Xbox Live's Avatar, where you buy those stupid outfits for them.
I wouldn't be shocked if they do have some sort of buy the gold sparkly banner for $5 or something. But the basic function of it is just to give you a way to make your account look cool. And it shows off your character, and it will show your achievements and all kinds of little stuff. Apparently, we're going to get screenshots of this and much more information. I'm sure we'll get a whole system thing about this by the time you're listening to this again. I keep wanting to say tomorrow, but as you listen, this information is available online, and we'll sound very stupid conjecturing about it. So, moving right along. but anyway, I think that's cool. I think it'll, it's a way to reward. Obviously it's just EP, right? But so if you have 100 high-level characters and you're a really good, you have a really high rating in the arena, maybe there'll be some little meter on there that shows, like a little general's 4-star rank or something.
It's kind of similar to what they do with Street Fighter 4 now. They have...
You with the analogies, every game. You're so on top of things.
In Street Fighter 4, the more you play online, you pick up these special type of banners and stuff like that. With different types of phrases of things that you've achieved. Like if you've gone through the training mode with a certain character, it will have a little icon of that character in the banner, and it will say something that's connected to that character.
It sounds kind of cheesy or kind of like a little, gimmicky, but people who actually saw the demo, people who Blizzard likes, unlike myself, who actually saw the presentation said it was really cool. Unanimously, everyone reported me that it was really cool and that it seems like it's got a lot of different options to it. It's not like, there's going to be 1 million people on a realm or something, and there's not like 10 of these things. There's like thousands of possible different banners, all the different avatars and bonuses.
Yeah, it's a nice way to make yourself customize your profile and stuff.
Yeah, and it's nice to have your efforts show up on something, unlike real life. No one cares and you die alone.
A nice reward, unlike the reward you get in life, which is death. Sweet release.
One other tidbit about online stuff I don't think I've mentioned, so this will be news, is your shared stash, goes between, each character has a stash of whatever size, and then you have access to a shared stash on your account.
Mm-hmm.
That's not news. You can buy larger shared stashes for in-game gold.
For in-game gold.
So apparently there's 4 enlargements possible, and each one adds another page. Apparently this is the shared stash. It's not individual stashes. So all your characters can contribute to it together, I guess.
Okay.
And it's useful for your whole account.
The character still has its own personal stash, right?
Yeah, which doesn't get any bigger apparently.
I'm sure it'll be big anyway.
I mean, Jay Wilson said the stash is just ridiculously big and scary big.
Yeah.
So I think it's kind of a cool feature. You can upgrade it over time, but I'm sure someone will find something to complain about from that. Given our forums, there's always someone around to shit on our rainbow. It's a secret level. Fertilizer. Another online feature is the banners. Did I mention this to you before?
Yeah.
What do you think about the banners and sigils and customizing your character's appearance and stuff? Does your e-peen tremble in delight?
Only thing I can think of, because you said banners that you can customize, and will it be? I mean, you know how customizable they'll be, because there's gonna be millions of people, or you're gonna assume it's gonna be fairly good for that.
By the time people can listen to this, I think they'll be able to see screenshots of them, and probably get a wide variety of different looks. But yeah, as you point out, there's going to be millions of people on the realms, so they need to have a lot of different options, and then all the different achievements have to make it look different in ways that matter.
It helps show off.
As you point out, it has to be cool, and it has to give you enough variety. As we know, the World of Warcraft sold a Sparkle Pony for $25, and they sold about 10 million of them, and that was just an in-game mount that looked different. It didn't add any function to the game.
That's just stupid. Sorry.
If people will pay $10 for a glowing transparent unicorn in World of Warcraft, I would not put people paying money for cooler banners and Diablo 3 off the table.
Why would you spend $25 on a unicorn?
Because you play the game 40 hours a day and you want something different. People spend $100 on shoes with a brand name on the side instead of $20 for the exact same shoe.
Yeah, well. Human
vanity drives a vast amount of our economy in the world.
If I played well, I might want a Sparkle Pony, but I wouldn't pay $25 for it.
But that's the only way to get it. Otherwise, you should ride a giant unicorn or whatever the hell, wolf or something, an angry panda.
I guess won't be riding the Sparkle Pony.
No Sparkle Pony for Diablo's minion. One of the other interesting new tidbits is the intro cinematic. I think I described that to you briefly, right? Or tried to.
No, it probably got cut off from the Skype being wonderful again.
Yeah.
I don't know anything about it.
So we've seen the intro cinematic from 2008, where Lee's talking and they show you all the 3D stuff.
Yes.
And apparently they will have one of those after each act, much like Diablo 2. But what the people at the show this week got showed in the Blizzard Theater before they got to see the game was an introductory cinematic. It's called a cinematic, but it's not. That's misleading because then you think it looks like the whole 3D thing that we're used to seeing.
Mm-hmm.
Apparently, it's very stylized. It's kind of like a two-dimensional looking. It looks like you're looking at an old book from the 1600s or something. It's kind of like stylized illustrations. But of course, then they animate and they move, and this basically tells you the whole story of the game world up till now.
Mm-hmm.
It tells you about how Diablo 2 ended, tells you about the angels and the demons, and apparently it shows all kinds of previews as well. From what was described to me by people, hopefully we'll get some clip of this, or at least get some screenshots of it by the time you're listening to this. You being the listener, as well as you being Diablo's minion.
Hi.
And I haven't seen it either. I'm dying to see what it looks like. But
yeah.
And it shows Diablo erupting out of the ground. He's like the size of a mountain was the description I was given. And there are also scenes of huge armies of angels flying down into Sanctuary in battle gear with swords and everything. Like lots and lots of materials, I guess.
Wait, so if he sees a shadow, will he not come out for another month?
Yes, probably.
Okay.
It means it's gonna be a cloudy spring.
Had to ask.
And we don't. It sounds like this is teasing in-game stuff, or maybe this will be maybe the expansion. Like we'll get, Act 4 we'll fight angels, and Act 5 we'll fight Diablo's minions, and that'll be you, I guess. And Act 6 will be like, Act 6. I'm assuming is like the expansion number 2. Would be, angels and demons are fighting on Sanctuary, and humans are in the middle of it, something like that. But it's interesting. We want to see what this intro thing looks like, and we want to see what plot details it gives us. So Are you down on fighting some angels?
I'm down on fighting everything.
Do you want to squeeze Cheerio till legs come out?
I'll even kill Decker Kane if I have to.
With any luck, we'll get to. What do you mean have to?
When you say stylized, I'm thinking from Van Helsing, where the dude's looking at the painting. And
Could be something like that.
Yeah.
It sounds similar. Have you played Borderlands?
I have, actually.
Somebody compared it to that. I don't even know what that means, what that looks like.
Borderlands is it's kind of.
Yeah, I know what the game is, but I never saw the cinematic.
Oh, it's basically the same as the game.
But the game is set in like the future in the desert with machine guns, right?
Yeah.
So is it like kind of like a comic booky looking thing, or
yes,
what?
That's exactly what it is.
So it's like an illustrated version of the visuals kind of thing.
Yes.
Yeah, I guess
it's like making like the artwork move instead of actually rendering it in game. Yeah.
So it's the artwork moving like Borderlands.
Yes.
That's all we know. We're actually doing 2 podcasts on this. I'm talking to half. In theory, I was doing one with Eliminator and then a third guest right now, and then we're going to do another one tomorrow evening on some of the other topics with Eliminator and another guest. Hopefully, I can get my computer working properly by then. But so we're saving some stuff like big changes to skills and traits and skill runes and some other things are being saved for part 2. And the last big topic of part 1 is the introductory cinematic. And we all saw the introductory cinematic they released in 2008, where kind of L-E-A-H. People think I'm saying L-E-E. A female character's name is Lee, or I guess Leah.
I think it's Leah.
Is she a princess?
Yes, that'd be Leia, but yeah, Leah. The only reason why I know it because it's spelt exactly like I think there's a girl on G4. She has the name spelt almost exactly the same way, I think.
And they say Leah. Anyway, Leah is the narrator of that cinematic, and she's an NPC in the game. You will see her in the beta test if you are so lucky as to play it. That's not what the introductory cinematic was.
I didn't think it was going to be, actually. When I first saw it, I thought it was just the cinematic that they made specifically for the announcement.
I thought that as well, but I thought they took scenes from the game cinematics and put them together into that, which may still be the case. But what the people at BlizzCon were shown was an introductory cinematic. They saw part of it in the movie theater room when they first got there for the presentation. Mm-hmm. This was not something they saw in the beta. This will not be in the beta test. But they were shown it specially there. And it's, of course, hard to describe because I only have descriptions of it from 3 different people without pictures, or video, even better. But it's like a 2-dimensional, like you're looking at a parchment with pictures and paintings on it, kind of a medieval style of art, I guess like stained glass.
Oh, God.
And then it moves and animates, and it's like watching a movie. The one guy compared it to Borderlands, which I haven't played, so apparently there's a cinematic in that looks kind of like that. But everybody said it was awesome. They said it was totally epic looking. It was really, it sort of covers the background information for Diablo 2 and then leads into Diablo 3. So you see like the World Stone's destruction, and you see apparently Diablo like it erupts out of the ground like a mountain. I'm not sure exactly when this occurs. And you see angels and demons fighting, and it appears to indicate that the angels will be coming down to Earth, or Sanctuary, I guess, at some point and battling demons. So possibly in Act 4 or maybe in one of the expansions, they may be cranking this up for Diablo 3 until we have the full-on angels versus demons with humans in the middle kind of thing.
You mean Diablo 4?
I think Diablo 4 will be totally different, but at least Diablo 3 will have this.
It's kind of weird.
They're showing it in the intro, so they're obviously teasing it for not too long.
It kind of sounds, the way you described it, like it was, it looks like the Dungeon Siege 3 video that they have, which I didn't like really at all, too much. So hopefully it's cool and not like the Dungeon Siege one.
I don't know. Unfortunately, I haven't seen it, so I can't say. But everybody who said it said they thought
yeah,
it was
well,
awesome.
if everyone said it was awesome, then it must not be like the one that they had in Dungeon Siege, because that was not awesome.
After they saw that introductory stuff and they had a presentation in the movie room, they went back to the Diablo 3 area, or I guess the conference area, and Chris Metzen gave a talk to everybody at this presentation. And kind of, he's the main lore guy at Diablo at Blizzard, for better or for worse.
Yeah, he gave a 15-minute interview or 15-minute speech about what's geek.
Anyway, people like the geek one apparently. Everyone seemed to hate it at the time, but I've heard people saying, "Oh, that was so funny." I think they're fanboys. Anyway, Mr. Metzen ran down all the plot stuff and like the background information of how Sanctuary was formed by Lilith and Anisiel, or whatever the angel's name was, Naziliel, I forget. And they made the humans from their bastard offspring, and then humans were initially what are they called? What the hell is the cube called? Nephilim. Fuck, I don't know. I'm not good at lore. Anyway, Metzen ran down all this crap, and he's, kind of leading them up to the plot of Diablo 3 without giving any new information. And he teased one big retcon related to the Dark Wanderer.
Okay.
You want to take a wild guess at this, Eliminator?
I've seen people talk about some stuff on the forums guessing that they actually...
Yeah, I teased it, and they're making a million guesses.
Yeah, they're making...
A few people predicted it correctly, actually. Most people are wrong, of course, but...
That they gave him a name, and...
He is not the... the lore of the game was that the person, the hero who killed Diablo, took the Soul Stone and wedged it into his own forehead and became the Dark Wanderer.
Yes, and they said that was the warrior at the time.
Whereas the rogue became Blood Raven.
And the sorcerer became the wizard in the Arcane Sanctum.
The fake summoner. The warrior is no longer, the hero is no longer the Dark Wanderer. The Dark Wanderer is a character from Diablo 1, one of the major characters in the plot. Not King Leoric, who we know returns. And it's not Lazarus. Any other guesses? It's not Wirt.
It's not Wirt. Yeah, because he wasn't hobbling on one leg, so...
That would have been a good plot twist.
It was really Wirt all along.
You want to guess? Or I just tell you? It's more
fun.
A member of royalty.
No. Oh, so the Leoric's son?
Yeah, it's Leoric's son.
Okay.
Prince Albrecht.
Oh.
He was Diablo in Diablo 1. I mean, that was the body that Diablo was inhabiting. And you killed him, and you pried the soul stone out of his forehead.
Yeah, and then you saw him, turn back into his form, and he gasped like a gasp, and then he died. At least you think he died. So they're saying that he didn't die.
Yeah. Well, he's walking around still apparently. But But how does he get the soul stone back? I mean.
Okay, that's something they'd have to explain through the story. That maybe he got the soul stone back from the warrior. I don't.
I mean, did they play rock paper scissors for it or something, or what? I mean,
I could see them kind of pulling it off in the story wise if they do it right. It just seems really weird as why they would do that.
Well, Metzen said they wanted to make it a family affair. Like, I think that gives it more. Leoric is maybe there's stuff in Leoric's speeches in Diablo 3, where he's saying my son left or something like that. I don't know why he'd care; he was already dead. But I mean, I don't know. I mean, there must be some good reason for it. I mean, they must have the plot tying into it somehow. That'd be something people can speculate about.
One thing I liked about the whole that Diablo possessed the warrior was the fact that people were saying, well, he possessed the warrior and he became stronger. That's why he was tougher to beat in Diablo 2 than he was in Diablo 1.
A little amazed to hear it. Maybe the guy was just pulling my leg, and this is all a joke, and we're going to regret talking about this. But
I mean, I could see them pulling it off, but it just seems like really a waste of story writing to do it, unless it's got a big payoff.
Kane's journal that's on the Diablo 3 site. That's a new thing, and it's from Kane's POV, like a diary describing the events of Diablo 1 and Diablo 2. Yeah. And that journal describes the hero going down to the dungeon and then coming back up and being all troubled and leaving town a week later, and then demons attack and Kane gets captured, and that's what you find in Diablo 2.
In the journal, it even describes the hero as the Wanderer.
Yeah, this is obviously a very recent.
Yeah, not even like after he came out of the dungeon, he was always known as the Wanderer in the journal that Kane wrote.
I mean, Kane doesn't actually describe there being a soul stone on his forehead, so I mean, I guess you can kind of work around it, or maybe he wandered off and then Albrecht wandered off after him. I don't know.
That's something that I was always kind of curious about, is the fact that he jammed that soul stone in his head, yet he didn't have a giant stone sticking out of his head in any of the scenes.
It's a metaphor.
It's a metaphor.
I mean, the soul stone heals over the hole, and it doesn't bother you having half your brain with a rock in it. It's magic. A wizard did it.
A wizard did it. But
that's the explanation for all things. A wizard did it.
Magic.
There was a fair amount of retconning in the StarCraft 2, changing stuff from StarCraft 1. And people generally, the comments I've read said it wasn't worth it. It cheapened events in SC1 in retrospect. Yeah. And it didn't really pay off in SC2. So
this, do you think they're going to have then, if they're really doing this, the warrior will be in the game?
I don't know. But the Dark Wanderer can be in the game because he was completely consumed at the start of Act 3. Remember? I mean, at Act 3 in Diablo 2, there's that whole cinematic from Mephisto's lair, and it's like now my brother, throw off your human form, and he turns into the giant lizard. The Dark Wanderer completely vanishes at that point. And Diablo becomes Godzilla and stomps his way into hell.
What if the stone that was? This has all been a plan by Diablo. Is he put a stone in his head to make the warrior think that was the soul stone, but it really wasn't the soul stone. So the warrior just jammed some gem in his head for no reason. And
we have that new black soul stone concept on.
Yeah, and then when he did that, Diablo faked basically him turning into Leoric's son. And now he never died. That wasn't his soul stone that was destroyed.
I believe this was an actual recreation of the Diablo 3 story meeting at Blizzard Irvine. They had a lot of tequila, and then Metzen got up and started and then this, and they were like, yeah. And the next day they were like, oh well, what the hell? We can't think of anything else better. So are we now going to say that But why would you do this if Prince Albrecht is not still around or something? I mean, are we going to? Did he wake up lying in that pile of bones and skulls in the Durance of Hate, next to that portal? And now 20 years later he shows up in Tristram again and looking for his dad's ghost? I mean, what? Is George Lucas involved in this story? I mean, WTF,
Is he going to shoot first?
I don't know. I almost hope the guy's kidding about this because there's so many questions this draws this as we've just demonstrated.
Yeah, and the fact that they already have the Kane stuff on the website that they'd have to change, that completely contradicts that. So I don't know. We might have just gotten our legs pulled.
Okay, that's it for the topics for this podcast. Thanks for your time and the 47 tech failure false start.
Yes, and hopefully the next one will go off smoother. Thanks for inviting me. I'll see you next time.
Bye-bye. So the Dark Wanderer, as you know from the story, was the warrior.
Uh-huh.
And he killed Diablo, and he took the Soul Stone and put it in his forehead at the end of Diablo 1.
Yes.
And became the Dark Wanderer. The Dark Wanderer is no longer the warrior, the hero from Diablo 1. He is another character from Diablo 1. Take a wild guess.
Another character from Diablo 1.
It's not Leoric.
Oh, that's... Okay.
It's not Lazarus.
Another hero.
It's not Wirt, unfortunately.
Oh. Is it the Tavern Keeper?
It's not any of the NPCs in town.
Oh, okay.
It is King Leoric's son, Prince Albrecht.
Huh. Wow.
Who was
Diablo?
That was the body Diablo was in.
Yeah, which doesn't make sense.
And we killed him and took the Soul Stone.
Well, I thought we killed him.
Well, we took the Soul Stone anyway. I recall jamming it into my cerebral cortex.
Yeah.
So somehow Albrecht became the Dark Wanderer. Obviously, I'm not sure how this retconning was accomplished and how much tequila was involved. But
maybe his clothes fall off.
Yeah, we saw him lying there on the floor in the cinematic at the end of Diablo 1.
With a giant hole in his head.
And I assumed he was dead, personally.
But
then, what's the point in that? Because the Dark Wanderer was completely consumed by Diablo after Act 3. Remember? They had the whole cinematic when he throws off his form and goes into the portal into hell, right?
Yeah, that's...
So are we going to find Albrecht waking up lying in that pile of skulls, being like, whoa, hangover, man. What happened, dude? Dad?
Someone slipped me a roofie. I don't know who, but it was somebody.
I mean, so it's hard to see. I can't see how this retcon can work, and I can't see what the point of it is anyway.
Yeah.
And it's possible the guy just was joking with me, and this isn't actually in the game, and I've been horribly deceived, and now I'm very confused. But
I'd be upset. Maybe he'd survive by like this lore, yes, but maybe he survived by some chance, But maybe he knows what Diablo's planning, if he's not evil. I still think it was the warrior. I have no idea.
It's a baffling retcon, I must admit. I'm kind of just, putting my hands up in the air. It's like, well, this will be interesting to see how they pull this off.
Yeah.
Metzon's explanation is that it's a family affair, and that this is a better plot twist because it's Albric and Leoric is still around in Diablo 3. So, but then what does that matter if Albric died in Act 3 of Diablo 2? He never got back to Tristram anyway.
I don't know.
Okay, that's it for the content.
Okay.
And now I'll say a clever goodbye that I can edit in after Eliminators and make it sound like we're all in the same room.
I hate you, Bobby.
I hate you, Bobby. Thanks for your time, DM.
All right, thanks, Flux.
And we'll talk to you later.
All right, see ya.
And this is Flux, and you've been listening to the Diablo podcast at diablopodcast.com. Bye.
Moo.
Moo. Rack an issue.